have what will probably be an unpopular opinion, but what isn't these days. I just entered the dating world for the first time in 12 years, and my God, is it a shit show. And I genuinely think it's because at this point everybody's been screwed over and played, so they all just threw their hands up and decided to be fuckboys and hoes because it's easier and less risky, and you have dating apps and all that stuff now. So I think that everybody's doing it to protect themselves. I don't think anybody wants to live life that way. I think everybody would love to find love, but I think that it's gone so far, and every nice girl's ran into a fuckboy who's turned him into a hoe, and every guy's ran into a hoe that turned him into a fuckboy, because everybody just hurts everybody, and it's so easy to play around these days that I don't think anybody thinks there's any good ones left. Or if they find one, they're so messed up they can't enjoy it, and they just mess it up or bail. And it's a sad world out here.
TikToks? Why yo ass watching TikToks?
I'm almost 26 years old, and I live alone, have no friends, never been to a party, cheated on in every serious relationship I've ever been in. And life is just really lonely. Just another holiday I'm by myself.
So a woman like that has been ran through the gamut of Chad, Tyrone, and players and PUAs, all by age 26.
Okay, before we get started, hit the like button. Give you a second to do that. And subscribe. Thank you very much. Hey my friends, welcome to another episode of the RP Experience. In the last episode, I was talking about who is Chad and Tyrone. Pretty sure you guys got the idea right now. Now we're going to get to the PUAs, which are pickup artists, and the players. Now, once again, I'm going to be tag teaming with Coach Greg Adams because he can explain this a little bit more in depth. However, though, most people will know what these two are. Now, with my personal thing is, I believe PUAs and players, because they can't be a Chad or Tyrone, they have to fight and scratch in order to get the women. And with them, they can be sometimes mistaken as a Chad or Tyrone because they are fake Chad or Tyrone. However, their personality could be a lot more developed than Chad or Tyrone because things don't come easily to them. You know, they develop game. They develop like countering and playing games with females. With Chad and Tyrone, it's not really deliberate in a way. They're just moving through life like a tornado, just taking what they want. With the PUAs and the players, they have to be a lot more creative. And unfortunately, even though they will gain female attention, they also probably will hurt a lot of women in their time because they are definitely doing the pump and dump purposely. Because either they are kind of angry at females picking over them, or either they feel a certain kind of way that they have to pin that much effort to get some of you, and then sometimes they're disappointed. You know, the same way like females can be disappointed with a Chad or Tyrone, sometimes those dudes, the PUA and the player, will go through leaps and bounds to get this attractive woman, and then find out, she's not as good as what he thought she would be, or either she don't look as good as what he thought she would be because of makeup and stuff like that. So anyway, I'll let Coach Greg Adams take that away. And yes, this is going to be interesting.
Here's the second form of man that women create. And of course, we're not blaming women. We're going to show you why they create this form of man. So they do it through Briefolt's law. So let's show it again. All right. Briefolt's law states, now you can believe this or not, it's just a theory. Briefolt's law maintains that the female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family, meaning whatever that they're going to determine is what they need, men will conform to that. All right, whatever it is, a behavior, a mentality, whatever that is, muscles, you know what I mean, money, all right, whatever that is, men will often conform in order to get the female. So whatever she wants, men will try to become that. And it says right here, where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male, no association takes place. So whatever she wants in that form of her life, right? I want a guy like this. Men will try to become that. All right. And then the men that can't become that, they often either become disgruntled. They just say, well, the hell with it. All right. Or they hate the other men. They become overly competitive. Right. So those are the things that happen. And we're using Briefolt's law to guide us here. All right. To guide us in this one. So let's talk about the pickup artists, which are often mistaken as Chads and Tyrones. They will brag like they're Chads and Tyrones. But the pickup artist is nowhere near the Chad or Tyrone. So what we got to do is this is not the pickup artist. I got to get to where I can go back here. You know what? I'm going to remove that for a second so I can find the right picture that I need. There we go. All right, share it again. We'll go up to the pickup artist, and there it is. There's the pickup artist / player. All right, so we're going to use these guys as the pickup artist / player. All right, so here's what, again, I'm going to mention it again. Pickup artists and players are not Chads. They're not Tyrones. They're not even close. And the reason what distinguishes a pickup artist player and a Chad and Tyrone is that the pickup artist has to try. The Chad does not. Tyrone does not have to try, while the player does have to try. So a Chad gets, just by showing up, he gets women's attention. The pickup artist has to do all these certain things. He has to dress a certain way. He has to act a certain way. He has to put on muscle. He has to talk. Here's the characteristics of a player pickup artist. They're an extrovert. Whereas the Chad and Tyrone could be an introvert. All right, they don't have to be out there. A pickup artist is confident to one extent, and they will act confidently, but they're grandiose. They're loud. They're loud. They're the loudest person in the room. And they're loud just by what they're wearing. They're going to come in with a bright yellow shirt. You know what I mean? They're loud. They're braggadocious. They'll talk about how many women they slept with. They talk about how good they are in bed. They stand out. They're not necessarily bad. It's that they are basically an open book. As opposed to the Chad and Tyrone, who has to say nothing. He has abundance. The Chad and Tyrone always has to field women. I'm sorry, the player and the pickup artist always has to source women. They constantly have to be fielding women. They constantly have to be validating themselves through women. They constantly have to be showing people that they can get women. That's the player. That's the player and the pickup artist. So they're different from the Chad. All right? They're different from the Chad. Now, they're not necessarily worse than the Chad or Tyrone, but this is the next phase that people tend to go to. So they go Chad and Tyrone. Oh, I can't be Chad and Tyrone. So I go to a pickup artist. Now, the pickup artist or the player typically are going to get women not in their best years, but close. Close. They're going to get the drunk, alcoholic, cockeyed, drunk, passed out, Josie woman. So this is what's going to happen with them. They're going to think they're scoring by getting women like this. All right, so let me go ahead and find Josie. All right, where is Josie? Shout out to Josie. She doesn't make that many appearances anymore. Here's Josie.
Josie's so drunk, but I love her. Josie! Josie, you're
artists and players earn their reputation by getting the majority of Josies. Like 85% will be raspy voice, loud, obnoxious, muffin top, busted Pillsbury biscuit can, women that overvalue themselves, tramp stamps, straggle struggles, straggle daggles. I mean, you name it. Party girls, coke heads, meth heads, queen, you name it. That's what they get. And then they'll say, I banged 200 women. Okay, you banged 85% of them were Josies. All right. Women that you took home from the bar. And I'm sure you got STDs. Whereas Chad and Tyrone doesn't have STDs. You've had a panel of STDs, most likely. All right, because you're dealing with bottom of the barrel women that many times you think you want. And this is how men mature into your final form. You realize you don't want those type of women. You're like, hell no. All right, I don't care what kind of game I need to run. I ain't running game on that. All right, so a player, let's go to the player here. Let's see if it'll pop up on my screen here. Nope, I have to switch share. So the player, there's the player right there. There he is right there. See, the player will have his rotation. He will always field people. Like if he has 6 broads and he loses one, he got to fill that spot. He got to have a bench over here. All right, as I say over here. The player always has a variety of women. He will have the drunk woman, the cockeyed woman. He'll have the fat woman. He'll have the woman that's an executive. He'll have the woman that has a good job, a marketing call center job. All right? He'll have a variety of women. And so these are the things that they do because they're not Chad. They have to try. Chad doesn't have to try. Player and pickup artist has to try. All right, so.
The player. Yes, with the rotation. Those are the dudes that when you are dating, yes, you may find out they have like 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 other girls that they are talking to, you know. And I have to agree with him that, yes, in a way, women, you make the dating market how it is. Because, and I've told some women this before, a lot of men, in order to get you, will try to become what he thinks you want and what he can more easily do. So, if being a jokester or funny and being the life of the party is going to help him get with you, then that's exactly what he's going to do. That's what a lot of dudes are going to do. That's why I think, kind of in a way, there are some people, that's who they are. You know, whether it's the Chad or Tyrone, whether it's the PUA, or is the player. Sometimes that is their personality. But then you have a lot of other people that might have been former simps or gumps or guys that struggle with women that will try to be one of these men. And some of the other men that I'm going to bring up later. And that's how a lot of you females be running into trouble out here. But that's the thing, though. We don't really, well, some of us, because I know I used to listen to what women say. But however, I can't go by what y'all say. I have to go by what y'all are going for. So if y'all are going for like big muscular type of men, you know, even though, like I say, guys that if that is their makeup, that, you know, for them to get like an Arnold Schwarzenegger and like constantly go to the gym is really in their I guess their life purpose or their passion or something like that, that's what they're going to do. But a lot of dudes that's in the gym are there to gain that muscle to impress women. You know, a lot of women, a lot of men, in order to learn game and how to play with y'all feelings and stuff like that, they do that to get women. So, you know, I would say if females stop going for some of these types of dudes that you know y'all will complain about later, once y'all get wisdom or y'all learn y'all lesson, then dudes will stop doing that. well, a lot of them will stop pretending to be these types of dudes.
And so these are the things that they do because they're not Chad. They have to try. Chad doesn't have to try. Player and pickup artist has to try. All right, so what tends to happen is women will dress for the player or the PUA, but they're trying to get the Chad and Tyrone. All right, what they want to is when they go out to nightclubs and bars with their scantily cladded bodies, they want the Chad or Tyrone. They could want the rich guy, but the Chad or Tyrone. They want the top guy, but it end up attracting the attention for the players and the PUAs as a source of backup, source of validation. And so women that the PUAs and the players will pick up are the women that will twerk all on the dance floor. They'll twerk against the wall. They'll grind all on their friend. They'll dance to the raunchiest songs in the club. All the nastiest music they'll do. They'll know the lyrics up and down to all the nastiest male and female hip hops. All right, they'll twerk on the internet. They'll do things that they believe every man will actually go, wow, thank you for doing that. Like if they're in bed with you, they'll twerk their butt. All right, and you're going, you don't have to do that. You're already in the bed. All right, you don't have to twerk your butt. All right. All right, but they think you're a low status man, and so they think you'll just get mesmerized by a twerking butt, right? Like, look, you're already in the bed. I'm going to tell you what to do. Put your face in the pillow and toot your butt up, all right? I don't need you to jiggle your Laffy Taffy. All right, so what happens is men ultimately do this. What they'll do is they'll encourage the approach. What women will do is they'll encourage the approach. They'll say that men don't approach anymore. But then most of the men that approach are players and PUAs. They're never Chads and Tyrones, rarely ever Chad and Tyrones, and then they're rarely ever other forms of men. The men who say, oh, you want men to approach? The player and the pickup artist will say, I'll do it. And these men ultimately take advantage of this desire of woman. Let me show you an example of this. I'll play this.
And I see TikToks on here all the time that talk about pretty girls and how they're never approached. And it's true. Like, I was just out at a bar. Black men were there. None of them talked to my friends and I. All pretty girls. Black girls. None.
And so, what she doesn't understand is this desire for attention is only going to attract players and PUAs to approach. All right? And so, thus, they've created the environment to get approached by these type of guys. Now, a woman knows a player or a PUA when she sees one, but these are the only men getting the at-bats. They're the only ones presenting themselves forward. And so, thus, they have to deal with them. And then ultimately, many of them will get caught dealing with them. But a man, a gentleman, or the final form of man, or a husband material man, will walk away from these women. They're not going to approach them. They're not going to approach you at a nightclub because you often keep giving them the stank face. You often keep putting your hands in their face. You often keep looking them up and down. All right? And then ultimately, you want a nice guy at the end.
And that's you.
You ultimately want that guy at the end.
And that's you.
The player looks at this as an open invitation, and he will practice all kind of lines and counters to objections that he can. And he will come off as smooth, confident, and debonair. But oftentimes, he's insecure because he needs the validation of women. So what happens is they make this into a competition. They make this into, I get the most women. All right. I bang the most women. And so this is their source of validation in life, right? And they may not have another source. And so they have a desire to approach women since they are successful at it in their mind, right? So they do get success. Listen, a player or a PUA are going to have women around them. They're going to have women. Now, they might not be the women you want, but they're the women you want at that moment. And you will look at that as successful. And then you will follow that recipe. And then you'll ask them why they're successful at it. Well, they have characteristics that you don't have. All right, that's why they're successful at it. All right, or they're willing to put themselves out there. You're not. All right, so you'll never be pickup artist or player. You'll never be. You can't learn to be it. All right. Well, I can't say you can't learn to be it. You can learn to be it, but if you ain't got it, you ain't got it, brother. And because these guys have an abundance of some quality of women, they're not all low quality. Some of them are good, aka Marcus from Boomerang. All right, he had the next door neighbor, Tisha Campbell, who was a straggle-daggle, but he had the executive woman, Robin, who was the boss. kind of one and the same. So what happens is, because these men have an abundance, they're more likely to shoot their shot. Guys, when you walk up to a woman, and you already have women in your back pocket, you don't care about a rejection, and you'll be willing to not sweat it if you do get rejected. So the reason why women create players in PUAs is because they are both attention seekers, and thus they feed each other. Oftentimes these people would get caught up in conversations about how they both get hoes. So the woman's side is like, I got guys and I can leave you. And the man says, well, I got bitches, right? And so there's a competition. They're both attention seekers. In an immature state, as she's growing, she's dealt with the Chaz and Tyrones. Now she's evolving as she's going out to nightclubs, parties, and etc. In that scene, she's going to deal with mostly players and pickup artists, because that's the only men, very much the only men that are going to talk to her. Okay? And this is what happens when opportunity meets preparation. The man prepared for this opportunity. The opportunity had presented itself, and now he's able to capitalize on this. Here's the reason why women hate PUAs and players. Because they get pumped and dumped by them. Oftentimes they get upset when they get pumped and dumped by them, because they don't look at the player or the PUA as nothing valuable. They just feel like they got finessed. Alright? And they end up going, why did I even like that guy? Their friends will say, why do you even like him? Because he's not Chad or Tyrone. They can clearly see that. Why do you see in him? Well, I don't know, but I'm pissed that he cheated on me. This is what happens. I'm pissed that he took advantage of me. I'm pissed that he finessed me out of my peace league. This is what happens when you are a player or a pickup, and this is why women create the player or pickup mentality, is because it does create some success. So we're studying Briefholt's Law. All right.
That makes sense. So the pickup artists and the players, they come behind the Chad and Tyrone. Those are the dudes that a lot of you females are dealing with, because they have the courage and fortitude to keep coming up the bat, to keep trying, and by them keep trying, I guess they get better at that craft of like talking and maneuvering with women most of the time. So yeah, that's not good. That's not good. But that's a learning experience to me. That's how I see how you females be going through it. But see, once again, y'all be choosing these dudes. And of course, though, sometimes you can only choose about what comes in front of you. But you have to admit, with most of the time the players in the PUAs, you should be able to see them coming a mile away, because they are engaging, they are funny, they are putting on their best, the greatest showman act for you, to get in between, to get in your panties. So I don't know. Learn something.
Where was that woman that said that? This one, right?
I see TikToks on here all the time that...
TikToks? Why yo ass watching TikToks?
I'm almost 26 years old, and I live alone, have no friends, never been to a party, cheated on in every serious relationship I've ever been in. And life is just really lonely. Just another holiday I'm by myself.
So a woman like that has been ran through the gamut of Chad, Tyrone, and players in PUAs, all by age 26. By 26, she's been ran through. Now, what women are going to say, how do you know how many bodies she's been ran through? Ladies, it don't take that many bodies to be considered getting ran through. All right, this is what we get mistaken in our world today. You guys think that it takes like 100 bodies to get ran through. Most men will say if you got 10 bodies, you ran through. Right? So this is what we got to understand. She's had, by 26, she's had her chances.
Huh. Now that makes a lot of sense. See, and this is how it gets a little bit more deeper than the bad boy thing that women be complaining about. You know, because y'all are picking the Chads and the Tyrones, which have abundance of women, and especially when they are young and they're spoiled with the amount of women that are throwing themselves at them, they 9 times out of 10 is going to take you for granted, unless if you are a woman that really stands out. And what do a lot of females lead with when they're trying to get a guy? You know that down there, y'all lead with that. Y'all lead with the sex appeal. So while that would work for, you know, that dude that's pining over you in the friend zone, the Gumps, the Simps, and those kind of guys that's bending over backwards for you, it will not work with the Chad or the Tyrone, and it will not work with the PUA or the players, because they especially, okay, let's separate, because we're actually done talking about Chad and Tyrones. The PUAs and the players, they already have in their mind what they believe about women, and it's not good. Most of them, like I say, have a little bit of a frustration with you. They know that they need money, or they need this, or they need that in order to get you. They can't get you the normal way. They have to put on the show and be something in order to get you. And because of that, you know, and plus they see how other men will either take you from them, or either how there's no loyalty, or I guess because they deal with a lot of women, they see, well, females, women, ladies, they deal with a lot of you, so they get to see how a lot of females move, how they cheat on their boyfriend, how they cheat on their husband, how if the right guy is there, they'll talk to them, they'll give them hope and stuff like that. And because of those little things right there, those guys, the PUA and the player, they will definitely pump and dump you. They will play you. They will make you feel like trash. And unfortunately, those are most of the guys that will approach you in these certain settings, like clubs, parties, sometimes walking down around the street. But normally PUAs and players, they normally hang with like a group of similar-minded dudes and stuff like that. I mean, you can also call them F-boys, but you could also call Chad and Tyrone F-boy too. But those are the ones that, you know, females give the most chances to, because they're exciting, and they have to be exciting to get your attention. But they're exciting, they're funny, and whereas that's when they get you. Now, for me, not being neither one of those two, you know, and knowing how they are getting the first cracks of getting women, scarring them, and plus y'all are giving them chances, you know, then when y'all want a good guy or something like that, or y'all want a guy to treat y'all nice after all that damage and stuff like that, depending on the female, unless if I know her or something like that, part of me is like, oh hell no. You know, for one, the female is damaged. For two, you know, she might have got imprinted by one of those guys, so even though she might get with me, she's going to get bored, and she'll seek one of those guys out eventually when she gets tired or something like that. I mean, it's like it's like I want to help a female that's recovering from that trauma, but in a way, I don't want to put myself through trauma trying to help her. So, you know, anyway, that's pretty much it with this one. The next video, that's going to be a surprise about this. I might direction because it's something else I wanted to talk to, but we will be once again talking about the different types of guys that females tend to deal with. See you next time. Good night. Okay, guys. I'll see you later. Out.
Called perceived demand. Basically, if a guy is treating a girl like an option, then her perception of him changes because she starts to think that this guy must be so in demand and that's why he's treating her this way. So she says excuses for his behavior because there's nothing more satisfying than being the one woman who finally got this player to commit. But the reality is you can't change people, you can only change yourself. And when you know your worth, you won't have to.
Failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.